That felt real nice.
Not near as nice as Black Duck Pond's going to feel on the way to the village, right? From Ganges, we're going to Freedom Village now in about a half hour with the bus.
Yeah.
And we're going to do something that's going to be turned into a ritual. We stop off by the trailer park there, park the truck, take off our drawers, get naked, and go for a swim.
Too many people there.
They're all naked too, it's okay.
I don't know.
You have to go in and film me getting naked. Taking my teeth out, I'm totally undressed. Take my glasses off, take my hat off. You know what it's like to take my hat off? Take my teeth off. But listen, boy, don't get too upset. There's a new town happening. It used to be Village Squat, Village, or Freedom Village. Now it's Freedom Town. I think, didn't Bruce Springsteen sing a song about Freedom Town?
That felt real nice.
Not near as nice as Black Duck Pond's going to feel on the way to the village, right? From Ganges, we're going to Freedom Village now in about a half hour with the bus.
Yeah.
And we're going to do something that's going to be turned into a ritual. We stop off by the trailer park there, park the truck, take off our drawers, get naked, and go for a swim.
Too many people there.
They're all naked too, it's okay.
I don't know.
You have to go in and film me getting naked. Taking my teeth out, I'm totally undressed. Take my glasses off, take my hat off. You know what it's like to take my hat off? Take my teeth off. But listen, boy, don't get too upset. There's a new town happening. It used to be Village Squat, Village, or Freedom Village. Now it's Freedom Town. I think, didn't Bruce Springsteen sing a song about Freedom Town? Well, it's happening here in Canada, and as you can tell, the jukebox is on, boy, and we got the plants in the soil, and Tony's resting in heaven. And he sing a song. God bless you, all the children of the planet. This is June. This is the one. This is the one.
He wants the federal government out of the business of helping businesses succeed. That puts Fulford Bay squarely on Stephen Harper's hit list.
Jesus, and I didn't see Jesus occupying things and doing actions,
What do you mean?
right?
You didn't see that. You
So you
didn't
have to
look at
explain
it.
your
You didn't look at
piece.
what he did.
What do you mean I didn't look at what he did?
What did he do?
Well, his life is recorded in the Bible. If you explain why what you're doing is peaceful, I'll understand.
Right. So, David, can you stay and
You haven't even
be here for the
delivered all
circle?
these yet. You still have all
No,
these.
we have. We were in the market today delivering
Too
them.
much
Okay.
argument. Like
Okay,
I'm
we're not
busy 24
arguing.
hours a day, and I don't really need people to tell me.
David, get out of the mode,
what they're doing.
okay?
What they're doing.
Remember when I asked you what you
Yeah.
missed, and you were like, I miss the land of the reality.
No, the schizophrenic doctors are taking over the land.
Yeah, I still suggest you take those antipsychotic drugs and throw them out. Okay, here, this was
Be
my
fearless.
idea. Let's
Be
listen to my
fearless.
idea, and then you share your idea.
Yeah.
My idea was that we go down to Drummond Park, and we can do this today, or we can do this at summer solstice, and we build a beautiful
Careful, don't sit on
circle. And there's beautiful branches there, David. They're like half dead, but they're like so, like, twistable and stuff, right? And they have like different strands, and they're like perfect for building like some kind of a circle thing with rocks that are
What
big
do we
from
need
the
a circle
beach.
for?
And we make a big circle thing, and we can maybe do it on summer solstice for the day. And we get people, musicians and drummers and stuff, to come to Drummond Park. We send them invitations like that, right? And then we all have this big circle dance, and we celebrate, and we do
Celebrate
that.
what?
We celebrate life.
Then where's your life? Where is your life?
Our life is here. We celebrate.
Under what?
You
In
just
what
want that
kind of a
bottle of
condition are
wine.
you in?
I'm in a condition where I'm not a part of something that doesn't make sense to me. I do it sensible and peaceful.
Sensible, common sense.
With
Where is
love. I do everything
it?
with
Look
love.
at the times.
Eden?
Look at the time.
What?
We're in an
How's your day?
emergency situation.
What'd you do?
People
So-
have got to stand up. They're not standing
Eden?
up. The people
What?
are
What'd you
sitting
do today?
back,
Well,
and
I
they're
just
in a
like
trap
to
of
tell
study.
you.
Jesus
They're in
said,
No,
a
out
condition
in my
that
dinghy.
is.
You what?
Use the
They
word
go out
Christ,
in
not
my
Jesus.
I like
dinghy.
Jesus.
Did you
I
go
know,
out?
but Christ.
No,
Okay, the
not
Lord
yet.
said, happy are those conscious of their spiritual need. Right? So those people are conscious of their spiritual need. They just don't, church.
Well, so they should open their doors to the poor.
So
Why
then
shouldn't they
you
open
don't-
their doors? What does
But
it
you
say?
don't, but you don't
What
want to
does
go
it say?
on,
Where
you
is
want
their
to be, you want
compassion?
to come on soft.
Get that thing.
I'm not filming you!
You want to come on soft, not strong,
How
right?
dare you touch my camera?
You want to be nice
Calm
about
down
it.
right now.
Well, don't touch my
Right?
camera. I wasn't filming you.
I know, but what is this for? Huh? What is this for?
What it's
Tell
for?
me. Tell me.
We're putting it on the website so the whole 60 million people will know what
This
we're doing.
argument
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
Okay, we have to have peace among ourselves so we can share it with others.
See how deep peace is.
That's all I'm saying. You don't need to go there, and you
He
don't
wants
need
to
to
go to the
cause a
church.
scene.
Look, this
Pray.
is 15
And we're gonna
years
stop him
in
from
the
doing that?
making. 15
Is that
years.
police going to stop him from
The
doing that?
churches
No,
all
police is
over
not
the
going to stop
world
him from doing that.
could
Because the
open
New
their
World is
doors
about to happen
and
right
be
now
the
in our
free
lifetime.
centers.
New World.
They
Ask
should
them if
be.
you can
Ownership
make
of
a
land,
movie
no
of
ownership
it.
of
Say, I'm
spirit.
offering you
We
a
feed
chance
each other.
of a
The church will
lifetime.
be
You can
feeding
make a
porridge
movie
every day for
of feeding
5,000.
people and
Well, let
of
them do it.
housing people,
selling
and
boats
we'll make a
on that land.
documentary on it for
Well,
you
just-
at no
I'm
cost.
gonna give them an issue to deal with.
I know, but if you give them an issue, David, they might just come back at you with red hot coals. You
And
want to
what?
go?
Be fearless.
charged
What are
with
you afraid of?
trespassing?
What are you
Because
afraid
you
of?
need to do that. You need to kill them with kindness. You need to say, I will do a documentary. You feed the poor. You feed them. You use
They're
this
not
church.
doing anything. They're not getting off their ass. What do they go to church
You don't know
for?
that. If you came to them with that offering, they might do
They're doing an
that.
occupation on the church. Where is their authority? What credibility have they got? What are they doing really in standing up for the well-being of the people?
Well, I'm saying you can offer them that opportunity, and you can tell them that you'll get it on film and you'll show it to Salt Spring Island
What do you think we're doing?
or something.
What do you think we're doing?
Well, you have to watch your boundaries though. Like what boundaries are you allowed to break? What authority do you have given to you to break boundaries?
God's authority.
You have
God's
that.
authority. You're supposed to act. When you see something that is
yelling!
not
You're
right.
yelling to tell us to stop yelling. It doesn't work that way. You can't yell at someone to stop yelling.
Okay, listen. All you have to do is
Oh,
just
Jonathan, you're really
remember
doing a
that
lot
You
here.
can't
They are
yell at
given-
someone to stop yelling.
They believe that they're given authority to do what they're doing.
Who does? You
The
don't even know
church.
who they are. They're all just
They're all
custodians
just
in the
organized
church.
religion.
What kind of organization have they got? What are they? There's nobody there.
Oh,
There's
it's an
there's
empty
4 or
church.
5 people
It's an
that
empty
show
church.
up once a week on
Okay.
Sunday.
So have a meeting with them, David.
All the churches.
Do something
all
professional.
The churches, let the Pope come here.
No, you can start with one church.
Well, I don't care.
But
I'm
just
not
don't go
stopping
over
from
there and
coming.
just preach to them, because that's
Don't
like
you
it's
tell
not
me
going to
what
work.
do. You show me how you're going to do it, and I'll do what I do.
Okay, I'll do what I do.
That's all you can do. You got to look after everybody.
Yeah, well,
do
everyone's
what they
fighting.
can.
Makes
No,
no
I
sense.
don't believe in fighting. I believe in setting something up in Drummond Park, a public place where everyone is allowed, where you don't have to have any religion, you don't have to be reading any book or anything.
Boring. It's boring.
That is not boring, David. That is the
Well,
life
you're
we
getting
live.
boring.
We are diverse people. Everybody has different beliefs, and there's only one thing we share, and that's life. And I think we should celebrate it.
Life shares everything. Life shares the earth, air, fire, water, sun, spirit. Life is truly in sharing.
Well, let's have an earth, air, fire, water element.
What are you doing, Craig?
Start living now.
Instead of trying to stop what's going on over there, we try to start something.
That's where you lost your jewelry?
I got a new job for the summer.
Oh, man.
Basically,
Do you have a grate?
Basically, the plan is I'm not going to eat, sleep, or do anything until I find it. 'Cause it's that important to me.
What's the story on this piece of jewelry? Where'd you get it?
I made it. I found it. I made it. I mined it. And it's one of the last nice things that I have, you know.
Do you have a grating? A mesh?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
You got a light, Charlie?
I'm very angry.
That's to me what occupation means. Occupation means doing something for money. What?
Be calm with your words and you won't be as angry.
Freedom now.
Don't waste tape, Charlie.
I did.
Milka, go in, please.
I did. You get that camera off me, up. Sucker punch you. Oh, Shauna.
All wet from your slobber. Yeah. Say something back. Say Hey. Yeah. Hi, Jonathan.
Watch this. Look at the screen.
Oh. There you are. She's so cute. Look at you, Babaloo. You're the
Get in,
youngest
brother, get in.
camper of all.
We'll look at the screen. This. But she sees herself for the first time. This is the first time she's ever seen herself.
Look at you, Babaloo. Say hello, Daddy. Hi. Yeah, Dada. Say hi, Dada. Hi, Dada.
Hey there, Suzanne.
Hi, Jonathan. Oh, it's your eyes. It's your eyes. Are you eating your fingers?
Hi.
Say yeah.
Are you in on that too?
Hi.
Please don't film me, please. No, I'm just kidding.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah, well, it's the body.
What you might have missed out on. how he might have changed it all. Did I, and did I, and did I, and did I miss out, and did I miss out, and did
Alright, we got a street session going on CBC Radio 3, right in front of Rotate This with Feist. Oh, there's the claws now.
all the
How you doing?
confused people walking by. This is great.
It's interesting,
Sounds
isn't it?
like my demos because the window is open, the streetcars
Yeah.
going by. It's just,
Adds a little something to it.
yeah, well, it's like I'm in 4 years in the past again.
Well, now, you mentioned earlier that you live almost just right across the street. Now, who did you live there with?
I lived there for 2 years with Taylor Savvy, who's known in Canada as Daddy Spaghetti, and then for 2 years with Peaches. Actually, that's the apartment where the Teachers of Peaches was made.
Oh, really? Wow. So you had some pretty famous roommates, eh?
Well, at the time, we were all just people.
Now, where do you live now? Where do you live now?
I live in Paris now.
Now, how has that affected your music? Is living in Paris giving you anything?
Well, I guess whatever effect it had happened retroactively, because the album was made before I lived there. I made it there as well, but I've since moved there and tried to put a band together there, and I suppose the effect could be heard in the live show more than in the record. But the live show also brings in 10 years of past other bands and stuff I've been in, mixed that with the album, and yeah, Paris is there though.
Do you love it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's just a regular place to live after you've been there long enough, but it's a great regular place to live.
Well, like Peaches, you moved to Europe, and so another friend of yours, Gonzalez, hasn't he? Have you worked with him while over there in Europe?
Well, yeah, he produced this record that I made. He co-produced it with a guy named Renaud Leton, and yeah, I was over there for 2 years with him.
Circle.
Pretty much constantly, from Russia to Australia and everything in between. And we hatched this idea to make this record, to collaborate in this
Come on,
way.
David.
And then we went and made it. So yeah, he's my man at arms.
And so how's it being back home though? You loving it?
Yeah, this is beyond being back home. I'm like sitting here doing this. This is great.
All right, well, we'd like to get into something else here.
Okay, let me think about what that could be. Okay, here's this. This could be this. Lots of familiar faces walking by too. Last I know where the fool I've been, for I thought the last love I shall ever win. At last I see how my heart was blind.
More about it lately in a way
That I left behind when the wind was fresh on the hills and the stars were new in the sky and this love was heard in the still. Where was I? Where was I when the spring is cold? Where do robins go?
What makes you people move?
He's moving.
There was one there, I know we ate. Sleeping in.
was fresh on the hills, and the stars were new in the sky, and the lark was heard in the still. Where was I? Where was I when the spring is cold? Where do robins go? Where makes winter lonely here? Now at last I know.
God's word through him. And I was once told that if a prophet tells you something and it doesn't come to pass,
Hearing the beautiful sounds of Feist during a street session on CBC Radio 3 for North by Northeast. You'll be performing a little later, will you?
Yeah, tonight I'm doing a little set. Tomorrow night I'm playing in the Mod Club with my band of Garçons from Paris. I brought over my band to play tomorrow night.
Well, best of luck, and I want to thank you for coming out and do this.
Well, thanks. It's really, there we go. There's a solo.
So he brought
He's
the
a little
rights
late.
for
He missed
Sapphire.
his cue. But
That's
no,
awesome.
This is great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thanks.
I have just met with the Governor General, and she has agreed to dissolve the 37th Parliament. A general election will be held on Monday, June 28th. I believe that the question that will define this election campaign is this: what kind of a Canada do you want?
What kind of a world do you want?
My name is Donna Smith, and I'm a gay activist in Regina, Saskatchewan. And I'm also involved in the labor movement as a vice president for representing gay and lesbian workers in the province. I've been a gay activist for quite a long time, and also I'm very out lesbian, mother of 4, a partner and 4 children.
Holy Spirit, come, come, holy, holy, holy. Holy Spirit, come. We welcome you, Holy One, Holy One. Only you can save us now.
That's the clutch.
Holy One. I'm gonna grab my jacket before I go down there. Maybe we should pull a chair.
Okay, we'll do like 1, 2, 3. We'll say circle. How's that?
All right, good.
1, 2, 3. Do one more time? Where? Okay, let's all try to say circle at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's always good to do 3 times. 1, 2, 3.
Good, right? Are you okay?
They're coming.
The ferry heard that. The people in the ferry's coming in, they heard the circle. They heard us say circle.
Of course. That's what I'm good at doing, is manifestations. Good, right?
Unlimited footage, unlimited.
What are you filming?
Digitally.
Dad about 8?
It's in there. So David, your room brought a chair for you.
Put it there until, yeah.
No, I know.
Well, we're not a good
Oh, you mean
Pass the thing
You have to
around.
pass that pipe.
You mean like a talking stick?
Yeah.
No, this could be a respect. That too.
I wanted to sit beside the chairs.
You want to change places?
You want to trade places, babe?
I would have to sit in here. I'm good.
Shall I sit down here?
Sit or stand.
Right. You fellas was backing up on that log there?
Aiden's right here, right? Where is he?
Tree, are you as close as you want to be?
What?
Are you as close as you want to get 26?
For now, I guess, yeah. As close as comfortable.
We should do that now. The wheat.
So you want to tell us why you're here?
Is everybody
Yeah, I
There's
think everybody that's coming is here.
Naomi, there's like a blue bottle. See that striped bag past the fire?
Is it enough to fill Everyone's been invited.
No, it's just my personal drinking water that you use.
No, I need like
There's some back there, but I think it's been sitting around for a while and it's got dust on it. But if you boil it.
Naomi, aren't you joining the circle?
Yes. Here I am. Do we want to light those candles or something?
Yeah, light the candle.
Am I allergic to what's in them?
No, they're just tea lights. They have nothing in them. There's lavender in
lavender.
there.
If you can handle
Allergic to
cigarettes,
lavender?
you probably
You're allergic to lavender?
Yeah.
You're allergic to that.
Is anybody else here allergic to lavender?
No.
Okay, let's dump the
One's
lavender.
Yeah, one person who's allergic to lavender makes a circle unhappy. I had lavender flavored ice cream yesterday. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, and then he recommended the ginger ice cream to cleanse her palate before
No, the blackberry. The blackberry.
Like that. Do you want to try
No, you should cleanse
Here's a blackberry sorbet. It will cleanse your palate.
What are you allergic to in lavender?
The lavender.
Well, there's different parts
Hey,
of
Dave.
lavender, isn't there?
The lavender.
He went up the road to a friend. He's probably gonna come back. It's I don't know the address. Let's see. It's the first house past the Fulford Hall, on the right.
Actually, I stepped in and it didn't look like anybody was in there.
Oh yeah.
Not like
He said he's coming
Linux.
back here?
I think he's coming back, but I'm not sure. The other place he might be is at the pub.
Oh, sorry.
He might be like a. I don't know.
No, wait.
Somebody's going to have to handle it.
Yeah, you're very welcome to
Oh,
sit down. And,
Okay, so you want to tell us why you're here?
So, hello everyone. Right. Thank you for coming to the circle. We're here as citizens of the planet, as everyone. And we care about this island, and we care about our community. And we read the article in the Driftwood 2 weeks ago, and it just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like it was a fair representation, and it didn't give us any idea of what we're all here about. So what we want to do is find out the truth and let everybody know what's happening here. What are you standing for? What are you protesting? What are your values? What do you represent? What are your hopes for this? A lot of people don't know. And we walked around today at the market and went to businesses and we talked to 120 people. and we asked them what they thought about the camp, what their feeling was. We made it really easy. We made 5 different categories. There was friend, foe, don't know about it, don't care, or understand but don't agree with the method. So we walked around and talked to all these people, and it gave a good representation, I feel anyways, of how people feel and what people understand about what you're here for. So all we want to do is find out, and it seems that the conception we got is that everybody's here together, that there isn't one particular person that's sort of a spokesperson kind of thing for the group, and that everybody's in it together. So we want to get what everybody's feeling, so we need to kind of go through things in a slightly formatted way just so that we can talk about everything. So if everybody can talk, like sort of discuss the topic together and come up with something that the whole group feels rings true, then that's what we'll write down. And we just want to find out what you're all here for. So we're here to listen. That's all.
How did the numbers come out?
I'm actually not done surveying either, but that's all. I'm not telling anyone yet.
I guess we're part of that survey too, aren't we?
We should be.
No,
Yeah, we're part of the community.
We're biased.
Yeah, it's more what the community feels about the camp rather than what the camp. We can.
Camp's great.
Okay, so I guess the first question I have is, everyone's calling it Freedom Camp, and so I want to know what that means. What is a Freedom Camp? What are the...
Freedom means no charge.
If anybody doesn't agree or wants to speak
I'm calling it Peace Camp. I'm not sure.
I'm calling it Freedom Camp because we're trying to make peace with people who live here, and we want to be free too. So we're trying to do that peacefully.
Does everyone maybe
Living without cost
Right.
is free, you know?
I got the.
To just respire without being charged money for that is freedom, you know?
I have a ticket in my back pocket, like $50 for sleeping in a park.
It's
I think that's like ludicrous.
costs money to sleep in Canada, so this is freedom.
Yeah, and it's your birthright as a human being to have food and shelter, and if that's up to you, then so be it. But now there's no land left, and that's the problem. That's what we're here for. I think, you know, everybody can be self-sustainable. You can put a roof over your own head. You can make your own clothes. You can grow your own food. We can be self-sustainable. We just have to have the space, the freedom to have that space.
There's a law that says that too, eh? There is a law in Canada that says you've got to provide for somebody the necessary things to live. Should
Universal Declaration of Human Rights?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the law is called, but like if you're a parent that doesn't provide goodness for your kids and whatnot, then you can be penalized for that. So I mean, there's got to be something that, I mean, our country's not doing for us, that we're sitting here feeling like we're walking on the edge, we're living on the edge because we want food at our fingertips and a place to sleep, being poor people. And it's worth beating our chest all the time like it was an occupation. Should we find no other place to do it except for here on the beach, 6 meters from the line and under high tide line. So it's a thin line and we're criminals, right? Or very close to it.
Tourists.
Yeah.
Well, really you're not criminals at all, because they couldn't find a single law that you're breaking.
Yeah.
So that makes you not criminals.
The great anomaly.
Okay, but I want you to direct us back to the question. So what does Freedom Camp mean? Is it called Freedom Camp? Is there an official name?
I don't think it's that formalized. I mean, I don't think they've... How many circles have there been here?
Well, isn't that the whole idea of freedom as well, too?
Yeah.
Like something, you're just living, you're just being, you're creating life, your art, whatever, you're speaking, and you're free to be yourself. If you put too many rules and guidelines, then it's not freedom anymore.
That's exactly what it is. It's total freedom. You're totally free.
referring to like Freedom Village. Like Channel Ridge is building what they call a village, and so that this is a corporate village, which is a gated community. So to call this Freedom Village is like a polar
By
opposite
contrast.
of their development on top of the mountain, which is a development for the rich. And so while they're doing everything for the rich, the people on the bottom are getting shut out. And so we have freedom. We're supposed to be free here. So if we are free, then we have the freedom to act. But how can we act if everything that surrounds us is all controlled and we're trapped? There is no freedom.
Yeah, that's the whole point, I guess. That there has to be like a reassessment of the system, if not a complete system breakdown, because the line between the richer and the poor is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So more people, less people have more people have less. And it's just a matter of time before there's going to be a huge lashback, I think. This is the only thing in Canada that I've heard of that is like this. But, there's got to be other spots around the world. Like Spain, for example, they're a socialist government now. They have a number of spots where people can go and they have self-sustainable housing there, and we could have something like that here as well. The more attention, the better, I say. So this is good.
I think it's freedom from government, too.
Yeah, we can.
In olden times, before at the time of Robin Hood, people. I was in India and people like squat wherever, outside of big high-rise apartment buildings. But in Canada, if you're homeless, the only place you go is in the downtowns of cities. You get squished into the downtown, the worst possible place you could be if you're without shelter. And that's the only place you're allowed to be. I was on a sidewalk, a cement sidewalk in a city. Otherwise, everything else is run by the Parks Department or private land or somebody who's not going to let you stay in that land. And the whole place is sold. There's no common lands anymore in this country. And they've been getting sold down the river for 400, 500 years, and you've been losing them all the way along. So you don't really, I just don't think that you should be asking, I don't want to ask the government for stuff, subsidized housing or whatever. You can make it on your own. Just give us back the land,
Yeah.
Just give us it back and we'll do it with whatever we want. You don't need the government regulations and all that stuff especially if you're poor. In Canada, I just came back a little while ago and people get taxed 15%. Poor people get taxed 15%. That's unbelievable. It's a highly taxed place. Even poor people are getting taxed. I don't mind if rich people do. They don't mind getting taxed. They shouldn't, they got enough.
Okay, so we'll kind of move on since you're all talking about this anyway. Is there something official that people are protesting? Is there or these are all this sort of, it's not a protest?
Yeah, there's an aspect of it that's a protest from my point of view.
I would say more of a demonstration.
Yeah.
An example that you can live like this.
That we can live as a community.
Like literally demonstrating.
And that we don't need particularly government funding to live. Going back to what this guy was saying, like growing our own food, building our own homes. It's really, you got to let people be really aware of what the truth really is. They say Canada is the #1 country to live, but yet we have third world conditions. We're bottling our water, we're doing all these crazy things. We have homeless people in cities, and we have all this empty space in the downtowns, and yet they're too fucking greedy to give us a home because all they care about is their money. Money is their god, and they need to understand that we don't really need a system that's gonna keep us oppressed at the bottom, because eventually that system is gonna collapse, and it's gonna be the other way around. Realistically, it's people like us who should be running the world, because we're the true educated people. We've suffered, we've lived life, whether we've traveled to other places around the world or whatever. We're educated people and we learn along the way, and I think that, we just don't want to, be oppressed by a system that's going to tell us who we should be, how we should be that person, and if we step out of line, you know, all of a sudden there's all these consequences. You know, particularly in Vancouver. You know, here's a prime example of the attack on the poor. They know that people who are riding the SkyTrain for free now, that if they can't have $2, why would you burden them with $46? Which, you know, it's ridiculous.
It's like sleeping in a park and getting a $50 fine. You know, like if I had $50, I would be sleeping in the park.
I think though that the word protest is a word that represents fighting against something, and I think demonstration is it's an environment where you're learning about what the problems are, but it's not to stand there and be angry about what is wrong with the situation. It's to understand the problems and to know it, and maybe to be angry for a while because there's a place for that, but then rising above that and finding the solutions and standing for something as opposed to standing against something. So I don't like the word protest because I feel that means that we don't have the solution, which I don't have the solution. I think that's why we're here in part, is to learn what the solution is and then to live for that and to provide an example that works, you know, that will catch on, because the truth is the truth and people will catch on to it. People will resist it and people will protest the truth, but I don't want to be one that fights against the system. I want to be one that stands for the solution. And I hope that's what we're doing. So.
Yeah, it's like paddling up a river instead of just getting out of your boat and walking up it, portaging. Yeah.
Something universal that I hear everybody saying here is that we want land to grow we want to be sustenance people here, and there's some sort of illegalness to becoming like a pioneer that founded this land that we're in, and this is pretty well what we want to do. If we could have everything that we use made by our own hands, then we would, sort of thing. And this is what sort of people we are, and are hampered by laws that just wouldn't mean anything to us otherwise. But this is something universal. What does the camp stand for? Well, I don't know about that, but everybody here wants some land. That would be good. That would be a good start.
Shared land too,
With
shared resources.
We want all the land. Like, no one owns the land, and we're not free anywhere. We're not free here.
Well, yeah, that was the question. Like, if the rumor was there was going to be 3 acres donated, and there was a certain group of people around, and so it was talked about. And some people were saying, well, no, we wouldn't take it. We'll hold out. And no, yeah, we will take it. But there's this thing about not... A lot of the people here, I have the sense here, are nomadic and aren't necessarily invested in Salt Spring per se. But there's this, part of my analysis of it is that there are a lot of people already on Salt Spring living this way. And this is a kind of an outing of something that's already happening, where people are living and hiding all over the island. And this is just kind of a, hello, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're putting a face on it.
Yeah, and where there aren't, I'm not sure how many of you guys would define yourselves as locals. Like Craig's a local, like a local face that's known, but I have this, and it's just maybe an assumption on my part that there's a lot of people that are here in spirit that can't be here in body because of the dynamics on the island.
Can I just ask the question, take a show of hands, who's an actual resident of the island, or is considering themselves a resident of the island, or who is just kind of passing by?
Well, how long does it take to become a resident?
Yeah, no, this is you've come here and decided this is your home.
I don't know what it is. How many is there all together?
Oh, yeah, she's a resident too. She's a resident. Yeah. Take a stand there, Sapphire.
Yeah.
She's got her hands up.
Yay!
Two hands. 2 hands up
So
there.
there's 19.
Home is where the heart is.
19 people? It wasn't everyone.
Yeah.
It wasn't everyone. Could we do the other show of hands, please?
20.
Let's have a show of hands of who's not a resident.
Who's not planning to stay here long term?
I don't know if that's the issue, actually. I'm not even sure that I like the structure of this whole conversation. Like, it's hard. It's hard to.
Well, these are the sorts of questions that everyone's asking, and
What
I
if
think
something
that people
happened
need
more,
to
I had
get
to leave?
answers to
Yeah, I
these
think
things,
that's relevant.
so that people know.
Is
People
we
like
have
that.
to be able to speak their language so that they understand. We're like a bridge. So
How about how many people are willing to make an investment in this community?
Yeah,
that's
about it.
Yeah,
That's good. That's a pertinent question.
That's why it's hard because you're framing already the answer with the question.
No, I think it's fair for
It's
people
like-
to say that they're not really planning to stay here for very long. They've come here for the summer.
Fair
They've come
to
here for a
what?
little.
Fair to what?
To the rest of the people who are here for the rest of their lives.
So what's your? Who are you here in this sense? You're representing the people who are here for the rest of their lives. Who are you here?
I am not representing anyone in this discussion.
Well, you got to be representing yourself at least, no?
I'm representing myself.
Well, and who are you?
Which one am I?
Who are you in this context?
In this context, I am a resident. I plan to stay here for as long as I can because I like it.
So you make some distinction between people who are committed to spend the rest of their lives here and not.
Not the rest of their lives, I would say.
No, I'm not.
I think I agreed with what you said about willing to make an investment in the community. That's like a way of, that's what we're talking about. Are you willing to, is this a community that you care about, that you want to invest your time into?
But if it is and if it is not, what's the difference? I mean, the fact is there's an issue here around housing on the island, right?
Yeah.
So, and then there's an issue on the earth, right? And so part of the early conversation around here was get this done here and move on and go across the country. There's a number of people that were here were saying that at the time, and the population's changed somewhat, right? But I mean, the kind of, I'm not sure what it is, but this idea that you have to have demonstrated or you have to have some kind, I was talking to a couple of people saying, well, communes have been done. This isn't a new, what's the difference between this and a commune? I mean, it's hard to summarize what has been a month-long process of people coming and going here and getting different things here and having different investments,
I think that most communes have a self-governing system. And I think that's the difference between a commune and this type of situation where you have many different people from many walks of life, and we're all here for the reason that we just want to be free. And I mean, that's enough of a reason on its own. You don't have to really justify that because there's freedom in that, And I think to give anything too much structure, it's not up to true freedom, and that to me is the difference between this situation and a commune.
If this was a commune somewhere, people wouldn't just be free to.
No, it'd be private land,
Yeah.
Or even come and go as they
They wouldn't be able to come and go.
Yeah.
You have to phone first.
Anybody can come here, yeah, exactly. Anybody can just come here and be free.
Okay, if I ask a question, it's not a judgment thing. I don't really care if you want to identify yourself as a resident or identify yourself as someone who's just coming and going and just here temporarily. It's not about that for me. I just want to know what the group thinks. People ask questions. I'm just trying to answer.
I feel that everybody here on some level is representing something. They're representing freedom. This is what you're here for. And people, the rest of the community who you're trying to influence, don't know what you're here for. They don't understand. They think, you're here.
Well, then they
you're
should come
here
down here, Suzanne.
Yeah, but the thing is that you see that people don't. And what happens is people talk amongst themselves. They're so shocked about the 1,000 acres thing in the paper that they can't get over it, and that's all they remember.
Right, when the actual history of the camp was not about the 1,000 acres, but I think actually that was a stroke of genius. But
everybody
the history of the action is Channel Ridge. The history of the action is Channel Ridge and Tony Jones, right? And some people here don't even know that. And 4 years ago, there was a peace camp 4 years ago. You know that. Right, and so in a lot of senses, for me personally, this is simply the sequel, and it's like, hello, Salt Spring. This is the same tribe that came out, got their bodies beaten, and they got arrested so that you could have some more parkland. Hello, these people are still out here, and this isn't about trees; it's about people this time. That's my personal, and I have a lot of whatever sort of annoyance or impatience with the caring left of Salt Spring who previously supported that camp to the nth degree, and that was a functioning village in the forest, haven't even shown their faces here.
I think essentially it's important to make a point that we need to reconnect those people with us and the feeling of being free, you know, like that you don't have to be strapped down to this crazy system where all your kids have to go to university and school and feed back into like the money beast, because you don't need to, all these things, all these like obsessions, all these material gain, all this material gain to be happy, to have freedom, to have friends, to travel. You don't need all that. And that's what I think that is important, is that those people need to have that feeling again, because everybody had that feeling as a child, you know? You climb the tallest tree, you stick your finger in the fire because you're free. You have that connection. And those people have lost that connection, and that's what we have here, you know? And that's important. That's why those people don't understand, because they're so strapped into the system that they can't fathom living outside and making their own shoes or whatever.
Are you arguing that everybody should do that?
Yeah, exactly.
But is that what, are you arguing that everybody should be doing that?
No, and that's the thing about freedom, right? You can't dictate anything onto anybody. It's just, you know, striving to help, like, make them understand what we're standing
Just
for.
living a
And on some
demonstration.
level, it'll eventually, like, you know, every little bit helps, every little bit of knowledge, every little bit to make them understand and make them feel connected to us. And eventually, you know, they could be here, or we could be there together. But
Well, I
it's
know
like
I'm
small
having
steps,
this.
you know?
I've been having this conflict ever since the camp arrived here, because I work across the street and I live up the hill in a nice, peaceful, quiet place, and I had a nice life before all this started happening. Not that this is, but you know, I mean, and I've so in the last week and a half, I've quit my job twice and unquit it because well, the universe will provide, and you know. But so I'm having that conflict myself, and I'm like I'm trying to just, you know, this, I don't think this, I support it. You know, I'm a sort of a we here, but I'm not, you know, like you know, I support it as an outsider, as I think it has to have community support if it's going to survive. It must, because there is no commitment, which is what Tamika, I wish Tamika would. You know, because a lot of my understanding, I like to talk to Tamiko because she's one of my connections, and of your generation, I kind of think.
I'd like to suggest something, if I may. There's different mentalities amongst people, and one being societal thinking and joining, where, you know, people have jobs and they buy things, you know, and they're a part of the structure, a part of the system. There's also maybe another mentality where simplicity is a key to harmonious living. And for these people who have that behavior, you know, most often they don't have a whole shit whack of money to put down for a piece of land, which is outrageously priced these days, you know, to support themselves, to sustain, to have a garden, to grow their food, to build their own house, and to invite people, like-minded people, to just live off the land, you know, simple, harmonious living. So, you know, if some way, somehow in the future, the government could institute that, you know, and just say, okay, then you would have people off the streets, off the benches, off the booze, off the drugs, because they have a purpose, you know. They can go to a commune, if you want to call it that, or a community, right? Community is probably a good word.
Did you see my mummy go anywhere?
If there's a place in Salt Springs, where someone can go build their own house, like a cob house or something, and add to the work in the garden, grow their vegetables, right? It'd just be supportive. And even if it wasn't entirely a part of the surrounding community of Salt Spring or wherever it is, just that mentality alone, I think, would sprout forth, you know, cosmically, a sense of peaceful harmony in simplicity. It doesn't have to be fancy and frills and taxes and shit all the time.
It's not too much to ask for too. This is the big thing, is that what we're sitting here and screaming about is something pretty essential. You know? I mean, all we want is a frickin' place to sleep.
The right to
I
sleep.
love to joke around. You cannot sleep, you cannot eat, you can't shit in Canada if you don't pay money. And that's pretty well what I'm screaming about. I totally agree with what he said, because I wouldn't be anywhere except living on the street if there wasn't a camp like this. Or either that, or I'd be crawling into the forest and hiding it, right? So.
I think though it's important, like in response to what you said, to acknowledge that the government is, we can't trust them, we can't rely on, well, we can't trust them, but we can't rely on them to give us the land. Like, this is the people helping people kind of grassroots movement, and that's where it's going to come from. You know, it's going to be about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or however many people waking up and saying, okay, yeah, we have some land, we can give it. The government's not going to fund this.
Right. They do need people off the streets though. Like poverty is an issue with the government. And that might be a solution.
You know, just
you could start with one, it might grow.
Just a couple days ago, somebody, I think in the camp here, somebody told me that there are 800 to 1,000 millionaires on multi-millionaires on this island, small island, and that's 1 in 10 people or something like that. So my way of thinking is, these people, they come to Salt Spring, they have some idea of coolness, you know, that they are somewhat cool or something. A lot of people do here. So a cool thing to do is, if you're very, very rich, is to be a little bit merciful and allow people a little place on the beach. And I think that's why this place hasn't been torn down yet.
Oh yeah, it's got the blessing.
It's because, yeah, people here see that, you know, I'm filthy rich. God, I'm disgustingly rich, and these people have nothing.
I think it's really amazing that in Canada, and even specifically on this island, it's obvious that people are free to be as rich as they want to be, or as rich as they can be. But we're not, by the letter of the law, free to be as poor as we want to be. You know?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
It's against the law?
Well, it's not against the law, but they should tax your ass for it, you know?
Pretty much
Tickets, like you're talking about, you know? Tickets.
Tickets for sleeping.
Tickets for sleeping, tickets for sitting, tickets for having too much backpack, too much for hitchhiking.
When I was
and dilapidated
I need a light.
Ridiculous law. It's a throwback to when people would like walk their livestock around to the market, right? You know, if your livestock's in the middle of the street,
what ended up happening there was this fucking,
well, now instead of livestock, it's my backpack, which has like my blanket and all my clothes in it. Yeah, and if it's on the sidewalk, they can take it away and give me a fine.
Canada
you can
Day,
sit
they
on
took
things
my
I
bucket
couldn't
of
replace.
blankets.
And then all of a sudden,
whole bucket of
you know, I went to
blankets.
court,
All I see
and all
is
they can
blue
offer me
sky
was
and,
$100
like,
for my
about
loss.
6
Like, that
cops
was just a big fucking joke in
screaming
the
at me
face.
for my
And then,
my bucket
you know,
of
like,
blankets.
when we went for the
On
2-day
Canada
trial,
Day.
you know,
That's when it was crazy. I love you, Canada.
the judge, he didn't want to deal with that situation.
You
You
can
know,
bet
he's
I
like,
had
it's
my
illegal
own
to gather
party
here,
after
so
that.
you know, get your
Like
fucking
all you
shit
have
and
is your
move out.
bucket to
I don't
sit
care if
on.
it's under
I
bridge, you
had
can't
nothing
settle
away
there.
from you in
You
Canada.
know?
I walked away with my worldly possessions.
And the thing of it is that, you know, like, you can't be poor.
No, this
Yeah,
is why I
it's
like
it's getting
structured,
too
yeah.
confused.
It's getting stereophonic.
You got 2 hands free all of a sudden.
Everybody has to agree
Okay,
with what's
so
said and put, so.
I do need to get a few answers to things. So how about we start with Channel Ridge? Is there a connection? Just a group sort of, there's a connection to Channel Ridge, no connection?
This is the polar opposite. This is the other end of it.
This is
The fact is
That's
they're
the filthy
building a
rich,
city
this is
for
the
the
filthy
rich.
poor.
So,
What are
yeah.
they doing for the poor?
They're causing great imbalance. You have to have a
So
capitalist
we're having a demonstration here to show that there is another picture. There are people here that are being denied by this development in Channel Ridge, and it's going to overload everybody and push a lot of people on the bottom out. And the price of land's going to go up, so it's going to become more unavailable.
I think this does oppose Channel Ridge because in order to have, for one person to have too much, somebody else has to have too little. It's just a mathematical equation. That's just the way it works, you know? So to have something like Channel Ridge means to have something like this because they have too much, so we have too little.
Especially
It's
at
just
the
the way
gated
it works.
community too, isn't it?
What's that?
Yeah.
It's going to be gated?
Yeah.
On this island?
Is it?
Already
That is
gated.
so, it's such an overdrive.
Like with the key code, intercom, gate, community?
No, it'll be done differently than that. But
Yeah.
The intention is to be its own world within itself.
Oh yeah.
The intention is...
And we can go up and get service jobs though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's all.
Preferably live off island.
Preferably off.
The workers live off island. Somebody says that they're going to have a dress code for Salt Spring.
Bring your khakis. And wear your service outfit when you're here. Well, you can identify it.
Okay, so the next thing people have been asking is why Fulford? Because everyone's like, Channel Ridge is way up
Beautiful
there.
here. Look at it. Look at this. Why here? We're not
It's the polar opposite.
We're not stupid people.
Right here, we're visible. Right here, we're visible to everybody. We're visible to people coming off the ferry.
This is a public resource.
Hey, look at it. Oh, look at that Fulford Inn. Look at this. Everything's here. The Holy Mountains right here. The ferry traffic goes by here. I know they want us in the back alley somewhere, but we had nothing to say about that.
Well, maybe we could occupy a piece of land closer there as well. I mean, is that what you're saying?
The church.
Well, no, they think that you should be, you know,
we should occupy something up there?
Yeah, something like at the footsteps of Channel Ridge kind of.
Well, actually, they gave me a ticket. The police gave me a ticket and told me to leave there. I actually got. They gave me.
Really? Are you serious?
Wait. Oh, wait a minute now. Have I still got it?
There's a big gathering.
Oh, like everything gets lost. Everything gets lost.
Well, I guess it does start tomorrow, doesn't it?
Here it is. Right here. I was up on Channel Ridge for a week. Just outside the gates.
Can you read it?
Aaron,
have you got all the clippings?
Okay,
of
it
the,
says.
have you got the Village Voice article? And
I don't have the Village Views. I have the
Village Views.
Driftwood ones.
The Driftwood ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Village Views had a good part, and I've got that. If you got, and there's letters, response. I've got a bunch of articles, anyways, clipped if you haven't seen them.
Thanks.
Okay. This is from Constable
There's
David.
no more
Or, no, I don't think he's a constable. I think he's a staff sergeant or something. Dave Volier. And it says, your vehicle has been here at least 4 days. We are now getting some complaints about it. So we will have to tow it unless it is moved by noon on Saturday. That is the 15th of May. Thanks for your cooperation, David Volier.
I would like everybody to have a part of it. I don't feel like myself alone, I can represent what everybody here has established and what we could do.
It's kind of why we're here.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, to gain some, like, cooperation, like teamwork, so everybody can be the representatives.
How many people stay here, or sleep here, whatever terms you all want? Is this about an average that you would say?
It's growing.
It's growing?
It's a busy night, actually.
This is a busy night.
It's like a
Saturday.
dozen. It's stabilized.
Everybody
though.
got the
I
call.
mean, it's never like huge
This is
exorbitant
more than
amounts
a
of
dozen.
money.
About a dozen you'd say was a fair estimate on a daily average?
15 to 20. Yeah, that's what I said in the article. Was 15 to 20.
And that's about right?
Yeah. You know, because some
Is that
people
light
are away
flashing
right
in
now.
there? Is the screen flashing?
They stay here.
Some people
Brave
have
act.
left. Some people were
This
here
is
for
a
like
really
3
busy night,
weeks.
though. There's never this many people.
There's more cameras.
And then there's the spirits.
That's a whole other article.
Yeah, that's another. I'm not asking for that yet.
Okay, so how long has this camp been here officially?
I guess it's May the 15th.
May 23rd.
May 15th, because that's when the police notice is.
Okay.
Me and Joel were here for a few days.
Naomi and I
David
came
was
down
here
there about on the
himself for a
23rd.
long time before it ever.
Yeah, the 23rd was the time that we like initiated
Yeah.
the plan.
Yeah, that was the second stand.
But the story goes behind. It goes further behind in the way back. Tony, the idea of Tony to try coming to Salt Spring to create a garden, and Tony was with us, and he was living in the basement, and we weren't allowed to have more than 3 people on the property living there, and the landlord kind of freaked out, and Tony was staying there rent free, and he was there to help. He was helping in the garden, and there were 6 of us there, and we had a dream of having a little community, just a small one, to work in the garden. and Tony helped, but he was
And
very
you were all
depressed.
coming out of Victoria?
We were all coming out of Victoria because it was hell on earth there, and so we're in the garden, and the bylaw says you can't have more than 3 people living, and we had 3 beautiful acres. So Tony, who was there, in the grace of God, we said David went down and he said, well, Tony, you can't stay here. And 2 days later, he was dead. He committed suicide. And then so the garden fell apart, and David and I ended up. I was on my boat, and David was in the motorhome,
And Joelle was there.
and there was many posters that we created against the development on this beautiful island, and actually edited and created by Tony, and and now we're here. We're gathering
It goes back.
because the laws that are in place do not allow us to gather any longer. And at least here we can gather, and we share our food, and we share our cigarettes, and we share our herb, and we share our love, and it's a magical moment. Each moment that we're here is a win for the future of all mankind.
It's a tribe.
Many brothers and sisters around the planet cannot do this. And in many countries in the world, they ensure gatherings do not take place because the 4th person is shot. And that way you never see groups of more bigger than 3.
Yeah, and if we don't stand up right now, that's exactly how it's going to be. They're just going to get more powerful, and we might just have a militia-type government where we're not allowed to roam freely at all.
Well, the public opinion is a militia government. You know, like the way it's run on this island.
Also, the people in this camp live a lot closer to the way that most people in this world do live. The way that most Canadians live is not the way that most people in this world experience life. It's candy-ass shit the way that our country is, which is fine, but then God forbid you want to live like all the other people in this world, you know? You're going to be given $50 fines for that.
I believe if you shoot high, there's always something up there. I also suggest that you set up a working example. Someone who gives an acre in a demonstration, and you show this is what we can do, this is what we want. And it'll take like another year's devotion. But to prepare the soil and to turn a crop that can feed a small collective of what's here now. That is a logical and very powerful demonstration in its own. Shoot high, you'll reach the stars and the great beyond, for sure. And always have the power to set a demonstration as well. We will set a demonstration if you offer a piece of your land, no matter what shape, we'll make it happen.
You could do it on an acre. You could do a lot.
And that's only a year down the road, and you can have it fully functional.
And they're creating it.
I think I can understand why they don't want us to do that. I can see like their reasoning for not wanting that. Like there's a lot of problems, right? There's a lot of violence, and there's a lot of violence, and so like I can understand why they wouldn't want that to happen.
What do you mean?
Well, just I mean like they think that they have it working functionally so that everything is safe, right? So everybody's safe in their houses, right? And when you have just a bunch of people.
See how well we can use it. Because I know that there's so many of us here. We could also, we can pile stuff up.
I believe it would be very powerful.
Personally, I disagree
a very
with
small
the 1
amount
acre
at first,
because, like,
to show a powerful example.
I don't think they
and
give a
say,
shit
"We will."
enough about us to like really care
Have
to make
power.
an example of it.
Create
Like if they give us
a
one,
small,
it's just gonna be
sustainable
like
unit.
They give us
1 acre.
yeah.
That's a small demonstration, and it's realistic for Salt Spring Island. And from there, inspiration may grow because there's hundreds of acres here that are not being used. And I know many landowners.
Focus, please.
Hey, Cliff.
Totally losing focus.
Cliff, you want to know why that would be a threat?
It's not a threat.
That
It's
harmony?
realistic.
You don't want to know why? Because everyone would start wanting to live that way.
Yeah, it's so true.
And they can't have that.
Live this way.
Each one of you
The government
can
is a
work individually
corporation.
and create a
That's why I
collective
think
with
all
those
these
people.
people that have so much have to really take a look at how large their ecological footprint is in comparison to the average person. And the average person lives below the poverty line. And that's a major thing to take a look at, I think.
The average person.
Well,
If we
the
can
average
educate
person in
these
Canada
people.
lives in the
average person
middle income bracket.
So much.
Really?
People want to see this happen.
People are inspired to do this for themselves.
I think we should
And
have
people will demonstrate for themselves. This is a working example. Let's support this working example that inspire us to do this for ourselves. And each one of you can be a representative.
Okay, you guys, we're having a talking
We-
bottle.
Yeah,
okay?
we're gonna go around.
Stop.
The
Everybody
bottle
stop.
talks.
The bottle is going to
If you
talk.
don't want to talk, then let the
Yeah,
bottle
no,
go and pass it on.
Thank you.
You have or have not? You have or have not finished?
You got the bottle?
I got the bottle. Swedish.
Devine has the bottle.
Well, you know, like, I like what you were saying. You know, the statistics are around the world that 90% of the world lives below the poverty line, and the top 10% have more money than the poorest 100 nations. Now, that's a lot of money. And
Yeah, maybe our nation was.
when I was in Africa, you know, here's a prime example. You know, Canadian people feel, oh wow, bones of crom. You know, Canadian people are really deceived, you know, because they're sending all this money, you know, and the governments are taking their money and leaving the people to starve. And, you know, like, we don't face that here. But, you know, we still continue to ask the question, you know, like, why are these people still starving? We sent them millions and millions of dollars, and, you know, people aren't informed with the right information. You know, media, I consider media, weathermen, and newspapers, you know, false prophets, because, you know, the thing of it is that, you know, people are really, you know, there are always some willing to just believe every word. You know, they really got to be really educated, you know, extremely, you know. In Africa, you know, like certain places where they can't gather, you know, like, you know, they'd have to hold like football matches or something to just, you know, hold a meeting and, you know, really get things going. And, you know, here, you know, what I think we need to really do is, you know, we need to really unify ourselves together, you know, and really be, you know, free. But you know, working on solutions that are gonna help get the 1,000 acres that we're gonna get, because, you know, it's already gonna happen. We just haven't really received it yet. You know, so you know, through, you know, we need to really continue to educate the rich, because, you know, they're always, you know, they need to be shown that money isn't really everything. You know, like, we really gotta, I don't know, we gotta make them understand that, you know, they should share, you know, share some wealth with the poor, and that we could, you know, do what we need to do, you know, build things, buy food, or whatever. You know, it shouldn't always be about money, and you know, that's really all I have to say.
I do not speak sentences. There you go.
Well, originally, like, what's government? Government's supposed to be the people speaking for the people, governing the people by the people. And since the government no longer is communicating for me, it's no longer governing the people as the people, then it's no longer speaking for me, and it's no longer working for the greatest good, for the greatest number. And thus, why should I consider it my government? It is not my government, it is that government. It is stopping me and my family from surviving, so it's not my government, this is my land. I'm taking care of it. Why should I heed their bloody laws?
Bloody, exactly.
I think we're appealing to a higher authority here, higher than the government even. You know? Or I think, like, as individuals, I think if our intention is true, if our intention is for the growth and development and, like, the healing of all the people, I don't think there's anything that can stop us.
Ow! Ow, 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 ow,
Let's get a piece of land and show them how well we can use it, you know? And it doesn't have to be 1,000 acres. 1,000 acres, like not all of us combined with all of our friends can't manage properly, you know? And like we could start a ball rolling and really raise some eyebrows if we were to get even one simple acre and show people how well we can use that acre. And to not, I think it would be better to not just get it from some rich guy that has pity on our ass, but from the government. Like we're not cheated very much in Canada from a really cool system, and it's unfortunate to see our country sell us short by just so little, because it is quite fair. But yeah, if we could make an example of how well just this many people could use a small bit of acreage and really work it in order to help a mass of people. Like, how much people do you think you can help with 5 acres? You're not gonna help this many people, no. So, and it starts there, you know? You'll get 1,000 acres after you start working 5 really well. So, and you know what? 1,000 acres is awesome because they may give us 5 when we scream for that. You know, yeah. Let's all come together on a really simple goal, because you know, if we all bound together for something really simple without very many rules, which we've managed to do here, you know, it's good energy. And at somewhere to start. Let's all come to an agreement at least on where we're headed here with this. Because where do we go from the beach here after we've made our point here?
Could I ask a quick question first? Okay, now that there are no rules, this is the concept. You're free to be who you are, free to do what you will when you want it.
Well,
well, that's the concept here, isn't it?
Keep going.
Yep. So has there been violence? Has there been these things? Do people attack each other, or do you guys get, do people steal from each other?
See, there have been rules imposed.
No alcohol. That's about the one rule that
Really? There's a no alcohol rule?
No
in camp?
alcohol.
Yeah. There hasn't
Zero
been any
tolerance.
mushrooms or any.
But there's a pretty good understanding that there's no
I know
alcohol
hard
in the
drugs.
camp?
I think I could speak to that. That's kind of an understood. It hasn't been,
No,
really
no hard drugs.
It hasn't been a problem,
Yeah.
really.
Clean,
No,
right?
it hasn't come up a lot.
It just disturbs the energy, man. And like, if there ever is like somebody who comes in drinking, it seems like they're the disturbance, and it's sort of like, you weren't really welcome to drink here in the first place. Oh, I don't know. Too much to say there. Yeah.
I don't really have too much to say.
You're a big dude,
Well, when I hold a feather, I'm reminded of many rainbow gatherings I've been at in the past, holding the feather again. Whether you're speaking with 1 or 2 people in a circle, or whether it's 2,000 or 3,000, the power of the feather and the way people listen to the one holding the feather is a great communication process that has its advantages of being simple and nice, as opposed to things that go on in city council rooms and parliament, or, it's nice when things can be simple, just like the sentence to build a house or to build a home. Well, the kind of structures that people here can build and create are simple ones. And if the whole world would be allowed to create simple structures and live naturally in harmony with the earth, consciously, we could solve the whole housing problem on the entire planet. by having to have regulated, regulatory, certified, licensed, professional house-making ways that only construction companies can do. It's gone so far the other way that the average being who would like to live a New Age lifestyle and live simple has a difficult, complicated time in this modern society. To live third world lifestyle in a first-class nation is the secret of living together on the earth with everyone equally. And it's the Western hemisphere which is using up all the Earth's resources primarily. If we would use the branches of trees to make beautiful structures with, rather than cutting down huge forests and the trees themselves, we would have a much greater advantage of conservation and healing the Mother Earth by letting her regenerate. So my vote is to allow well springs of spiritual and environmental inspiration in simple peoples to develop a culture of rehabitating the earth again in ways that allow the earth to be glad that people are on it doing what they're doing. I think the earth would much rather have rainbow people living rainbow ways that is in harmony with the earth and working towards enlightenment, constructive lifestyle patterns. The earth would love to have the earth children living on her if they lived consciously. So all we have to do is become constructive, creative beings and do what we're meant to be here for. Live, have fun, and prosper. So if we could somehow find ways to get out of the rat race and into the human race, we might have a chance.
Love, buddy.
I think about Tony all the time. And if it feels like we're just a little bit too late, we're just almost, like what's happening here is actually Tony would have been part of it, but he was fighting many inner battles, I believe, and he was from England, musician.
Don't cry, okay?
No, crying is okay. But I'm not sad. I know that he took his own life, but and he slashed his wrists. But he went to a beautiful beach, and when I saw a picture of him, and I had to identify the body, his eyes were open and he had a smile on his face. So he actually chose his last sounds were the water crashing on the shore, the birds in the sky, but he was just so young, but he was so sad, and we almost, again, he sang beautiful music. So like David and I and Tony were in Coventry, in Victoria, trying to have a communal house and try to be involved in something that made sense in a world of nonsense. And that fell apart. So we were offered 3 acres of land with a beautiful garden that hadn't been worked on in 7 years. And so we decided to go over and work the land and grow our own food and maybe have a beautiful gathering. But everything was going fine until the neighbors complained. And they phoned the landlord, and the landlord came by and he said, hey, you can have more than 3 people living on the property. 3 unrelated people. So David had to go down and say, Tony boy, you can't stay. You gotta find another place to live. You can come to Bellacoola with us because that's our other option. We've got some land in Bellacoola, and Tony, the next night we had supper and we washed the dishes. Then he looked at me and it was like the most beautiful look I'd ever seen in my life. He was smiling and so happy. He didn't say anything, he just smiled at me. Then he said he's going for a walk, and he went for a walk. And the next day, body was washed up on shore, and we knew it was Tony. And there's an article in the Driftwood, right? And it was a terrible article.
It was a terrible article.
Absolutely terrible article. Someone from the kayak shop that he died behind said, "Oh well, it's probably some homeless person," and he did. Okay, he killed himself, but oh well, whatever, right? Like no, Tony wasn't a homeless person. And I believe people in houses are homeless people, like someone said today. So I don't know. David and I have been filmmakers for the last and involved in many actions for 9 years. And every action that we're part of, we're going, every now and then we say, my gosh, this is the one. This is the one that's going to take it over the top to actually be free, because it's illegal. Freedom is in jail. Freedom is in prison. You're not allowed to be free. And you're not allowed to gather. Because you realize, because of the bylaws that are in place, they make sure that we can't really gather.
You can't live cooperatively.
Can't live cooperatively and share our food. And in here, Freedom Village, this is not just a movement for ourselves, it's a movement for all humanity, for the future and in the past. What we're doing here, if most of the planet Earth saw, most of the humans on Earth, if they saw what we're doing, they'd go by. The next day they'd say to themselves, I hope, are they still there? Because I want to eat porridge in the morning with 400 every day. And I want to eat rice every night with a nice pasta sauce. And the amount of money that we average person pays for rent in this country, $3.25, that's enough money to buy enough oatmeal, probably to feed yourself and all your friends for a whole year. So the money we're giving the landlords who are enslaved with the banks, like the present economic system, has no respect for life or healthy children. If we don't gather now, and if we don't take this opportunity to do it now, because we're in a very unique position on the planet. They say, go west, young man, go young woman. Well, we're west. And this is actually paradise on Earth. But while millions of pounds of fruit rot off the trees, we have people, the soup lines are growing longer, and they're going, I'm hungry, feed me. And they're stepping on the fruit. Like, we have to be allowed to gather with peace and dignity and grace. And the secret okay, there's many sparks, there's many fires around the earth of consciousness, and little tiny sparks are going out. And most of the sparks distinguish and die. This could be the spark that ignites the whole evolutionary process of a higher intelligence that has respect for each other, and we know our neighbors. And we've been filming and recording with the technology that is now in our hands, where we could actually, we don't tell people what happened. We don't give them a newspaper clipping and tell them what happened. We say, listen, you got a VCR. And we show them. And the camera doesn't lie. So I can go on forever. I can talk till the cows come home. But I love you, Tony. And like, if they hadn't kicked us off, the land, and if Tony had maybe died, we wouldn't be here. So this is our chance to show the world, because freedom of speech is one of our fundamental rights in this country, and we're exercising that right now. And freedom of assembly is one of our fundamental rights, and we're assembling right now. And we're not a bunch of just kind of like, what, low lifes? What is a low life? We're all life, and we're protesting what's happening in Channel Ridge. We can show the world that, okay, they can build their La La Land at a cost of $200 million for a few houses, 420 houses. And we can show them what we can do here with no money.
$9.88.
Someone did, they figured out that the camp is now costing us $9.10 a day to feed. And
58.
$9.58.
Wow.
So I believe, if we just believe we've won, and we maintain position, we're there.
Do you know that the people that go to mental hospitals, the bed that they occupy costs $3,000 a day?
Yeah.
Three!
We were talking about that we should start charging per diems here. Give that money to us. People are coming here who would be otherwise institutionalized. as was the case for me when I first came to the island and I went to the peace camp 4 years ago. People are coming here and finding community and compassion. Sorry, I don't have That's okay then.
Anyone else with feather?
You're next.
David?
Yeah, I think we should keep it in
Behind
a
you.
circle.
As a child, I was working hard. I grew up on a farm up in northern Alberta, where you only have 5 months of season, but it's very rich and very abundant. And I was taught very young how to do so. I learned many ways. We had a greenhouse that heated our house in the wintertime, and we only worked on like 3 acres. And we were in a collective with another farm, and they also had the same season to grow. And together we have stored food in a root cellar that is 250 yards deep into the soil. And it is cured with the sap that is brewed of nature. And it treats the wood so that it preserves in this dank, dark wilderness. We have enough food there to last a couple generations in our life, to our children. And there's also the land there to work. As a young individual, I learned by example. And I feel I have the power now to express myself. Because I live happily on nothing. And I indulge in the greatness of life. And I believe there is power in example. And there are people who are of the older generations, David and Jonathan, who are yearning to rebel in themselves against the system they were raised in. And they will show support in some strange way. We just gotta keep our hearts true and be determined in what we can do and ask for an example. We can build tree houses. It's not in the CRD that you cannot build tree houses. As long as the structure is not touching the ground, you can live in the trees. And you can grow a garden in the little gullies as a primary alternative. And it's a simple solution. And there are people who are willing and wanting to rebel in themselves but need some ground to stand on, some powerful support. And we can be that support, I believe, just by example. This is a powerful statement. And the elders out there are rising up inside themselves going, yeah, let's help those lads. We want to do this. We wanted to do in our past. We've lived like this as children. They can live like this together as well. So it's like 3 families here, on average. The separation. 3 families. And we all come together, and it's a realistic thing, because it's been done in the past. Not more than 100 years ago. Oh.
Hey,
No, interruption.
But somebody
died. Sorry.
You guys having a circle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Is it a vision circle?
It's all about the good love.
Pardon me?
It's all about the love.
All about love?
Yeah, actually we started
Our
with
song.
a few questions about what the camp was based on, what everybody's intentions were in coming here, what everybody wanted to see.
Right. What you want to know? I'd like to see this place continue to be a village like it has been for centuries. I thought it was the biggest joke when the head of the Landowners Association said that this was unacceptable. Because it's insane, you know. People have lived on this beach for thousands of years like this. And the whites are in total denial that the natives lived here. The name of the Indian reserve over there translates to shove your butt over. The last native people who lived here were never found. Their boat was found with blood on it, drifting off the coast over there. So there's some really sad injustices that I've seen that you know have happened here. That this culture is in complete denial about. You know, there's a sacred stone under those trees there. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that stone, But when we came here, we went to touch it because that stone's thousands of years old and has been carved and handled by people who've come here and lived here for centuries, and is a sacred stone. It's obviously a sacred stone. That's why it's there. It's sacred. It's like the heart of the community. And apparently there were other stones like these that they dragged out into the water, so they couldn't find them because they knew that they were too powerful. So anyway, I have a vision of this always being a community for the people. And I think that it's great that people are here. I think that people should always live here, because this is where people have always lived. And why shouldn't they live here? People are grown up with a symbiotic relationship with water. That's why we got hair on top of our heads. You know, we're made to go in the water. We're made to be in the water. We're made to be on the land. We're back and forth. That's what we are. We're like amphibians, you know. And you know, we love being on boats. You know, we don't need to be tied into these big stone forts and things. You know, that's all dominated by patriotic or patriarchal ideas. We don't need that stuff. What we need is being connected to the earth, and to the sacred water and the sacred elements. Somehow this culture has lost touch with the sacredness of life and the sacredness of all things. The sacredness of Mother Earth. They forgot. And now they're so blinded by their shiny objects, you know. They got these big shiny objects that blind them from reality. They don't see that their shiny object is killing the polar bear. They don't see that their shiny object is causing them cancer. All they see is the glamour and the glitz, and are worried that their neighbor won't have a nice and big shiny, or they won't have a big shiny thing, you know, like their neighbor. It's so sad. You know, how many millions of people have died in accidents on these highways? Like, isn't it insane? Like, they drive around these big, huge chunks of metal, and usually by themselves, with room for many others, but they're too afraid to even stop and pick up people who need rides. Like, the whole thing, it's crazy. It's so inefficient. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody thought it through. It just kind of happened. So the turnaround's coming, hey? And the people will be living on here, this beach here
We
again.
had 7 years, 5 years ago.
It's good to see that the people are here, because this is the rebirth of the new time that will return. The people will return to the homeland, return to the villages. That's what we're doing. You're returning to the village. Your spirits lived in this village before. You're drawn here. This village is where you were before. That's why you're here again. This is our home. And these places have always been our home. There's no really separation. It's all an illusion. You know, that ego stuff. It's all an illusion. We're all just one thing. One thing. The same thing.
What was the question?
42. No, that's the answer.
The general gist is, what is this camp all about? What does this mean to you? What is it standing for? Where does it go? Those sorts of.
Okay. I
find this to be something of a focal point for lost spirits and lost souls to come and gather and get healed and talk and reason. Just like a lot of times when we end up having gatherings like this, and it's the one time when those spirits and souls that gather together can take care of the issues that people that are blind can see in reality. And I think that what's happening here is pretty minuscule in comparison to what it's doing in as far as it going further, as long as it doesn't stop. As long as this doesn't stop, and it keeps on going across Canada, it will never stop. Like, so I keep on saying this. I've been saying this ever since I came out here. BC's filled with chumps because it doesn't do anything when it has the chance, and it kind of has this chance to have like Salt Spring and Victoria and Vancouver are like the beginning of, you know, when you take dynamos and you push one and it just, they all keep on going and you can make a big thing, like this really cool thing happen, you know. I don't know what that effect is called, but Salt Spring has the domino
or
effect.
A butterfly.
Yeah, the domino effect.
The butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. Salt Spring has had that opportunity since the beginning of it being around, and it's always going to have that opportunity. Victoria and Vancouver have had that, but they keep on squandering it. And I don't know why that happens, but like, it's the weirdest thing. You go to Vancouver, you watch the richest man. He can have a chance to be richer and greedier and squash somebody, and he doesn't do it. You can watch the poorest people in Vancouver have the chance to become just a little bit out of that, and they won't. They'll stay in poverty. It's the strangest thing. I've never seen it anywhere else, you know. I've never been very far, but, you know, it happens. So I just kind of hope that this island gets it together, and as far as the locals are concerned, because frankly, it's cool to see everybody here, and I think this is great to see everybody here, and I think it's going to keep on going. But I kind of find it sad that the locals aren't doing anything. I kind of think, once again, they're wimping out. Once again, they're not acting, you know? Whether or not everybody here that's unique and strange character or whatever, or unique in whatever they are, and express themselves and learn new things from reasoning to each other, you know, that's great. But it's the locals, the people that have been here for 20 years, 30 years and 40 years. They're the ones that I'm really like, that make me not want to stay here, make me want to go, but I know that I should stick around with everything else.
I don't know, Dan, you know what to say about the locals, because I find there's more activated locals on this island than anywhere in any other community in the world.
For sure, Salt Spring has that.
I think they're working on different levels than we are.
Positive example. Positive example. Positive example.
No, I didn't mean to sound negative.
Oh, no.
I just...
No, it is tough.
And I see that the island works on lots of levels.
Yeah, there's all kinds.
And it's a remarkable thing. I get taught that every day, being on this island, how this island seems to work really, really unique. It's one of the most unique places, and everybody says that. But I'd just like to see some action from locals. That's why I need to go home. This is one local here that's doing more than anything. He's not even from here.
Evolving inspiration.
A lot of scoffing. I'd like the scoffing to stop. But, yeah.
At the pub?
No.
Is there music?
Yeah.
Going to the
Okay, focus, please.
I don't know. Fred's not much of a
Focus, please.
videotape? No, we're just trying to have a conversation.
It's actually not
So hello everybody, I'm David Shabeb, and we're Jonathan and David, One Earth Communications as well, and we started about 10 years ago thinking that if we could tell the message through the video camera, it would have a great tool for communication. And so what we would do is we'd plant ourselves in the middle of an action and we would film what the action was. And it's very successful in documenting internally what's going on. And that wasn't our intent, was to communicate, give people a means whereby they could communicate on a local level and they could be aware. What I find here is that the corporations control the media, and the people are disempowered to the point where they don't feel there's anything they can do about what's going on because it's too big. It's all too much to deal with. But I think at a point, sometimes you get to a point where you're pushed out and you have to stand up. You don't have any choice. There's nowhere to go, and the road being the only access you have, you take to the road. And so whenever we took to the road, it was always to go to a demonstration, to find something that we could agree with. And that's why we came here and we took part in the demonstrations which were going on. But right now, what's happening is the world is in a crisis. We're in an emergency situation globally, and locally, we can do something. It is an election time, and if we can get enough people together to articulate what we really want, then we have an ability to change what is to what ought to be. But actually what I would like to talk about is tomorrow morning I'm moving over to the church. I'm taking the bus, and I'm going to set up in the church. And I believe the church has a responsibility to the community, and that they can play a very beneficial role by allowing the people to use these buildings as community centers. And we're right here, and there's a center right over there, and it's not used all week. It's empty, and they've got land over there, and we could have a little gathering with the public. It would be more public than this spot, where people coming off the ferries, we would have signs up on the highway, and people could stop there, and we could tell them what we're all about, and maybe direct some of them over here. And so I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go over there. Now that probably is going to be right into the fire, and already the police came in today because they heard about it. So I'd like to put that out, that's happening. Okay.
I kind of want to go when I'm kind of clocked out this role.
You want to?
I want to do it when I'm finished with my role here to document things, right?
You want to do the feather meeting? Do you want to talk?
Yeah, I'll give my opinion, but I'd like to finish with everyone's opinion, and then I can.
Okay. All right.
I think that's fair. I can share that.
Is everybody done?
Hazel, do you want to talk about
Everybody else here would like to? Who else here? Who has?
Hazel?
Hazel has it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hazel.
It's funny, I haven't been here most of the night because I was with the baby, so I don't know what everyone's really been saying. I think when we started this dialogue, the question was about freedom and what that means. And to me, I believe that where the Spirit of God is, there is freedom. And shy of that, there is no freedom. And that this camp, in part, is, for me, it's school. It's learning about what other people believe the Spirit of God is. There's many names and shapes and forms that takes. And it's also an opportunity for me to express myself and what I believe is truth for my spirit and my life and my eternal existence. And just, I believe that what's happening here is universal. I believe it is global, and it's also just Salt Spring Island political issues, but it is greater than that, because what we're standing up for, I hear David often talk about the truth, you know, and I think we all define truth in different ways, but yet there is one truth, and there's one spirit of truth, and it can't be denied when you know it. And what David's presenting or proposing for tomorrow at the church is going to be, I think, pretty significant. Jonathan said today that they'll be phoning Rome by next week because it's a Catholic church, and who knows, you know, I mean, it's about saying, open your doors to the people. Will you reject this? Will you refuse this? You know, so often the church has refused the people for whatever religious reasons, and I think that this camp is a church to me. It's a gathering of people that hopefully are like-minded or are trying to become like-minded. It's a community of people that have a lot of differences and opinions and different ways of being, but yet are working around those differences to become one people. And love is the source of that. Love is the source of that. And so I'd like to see us move forward with love in the focus, not the fight against what's wrong, as I said earlier, but standing for love and standing for what's right. And I know that's something different for different people, and I think the circle is so important for communicating individually what we all believe, because I want to hear what everyone believes. Hopefully next time my baby will sleep through it, but yeah, I'm really blessed to be here. I was kind of brought here unexpectedly, and it's been a really beautiful experience, and I anticipate staying on for a long time. So yeah, I'll close mine with saying a blessing upon everyone here. I've been praying that the Spirit of God will just descend on every soul that's here with a blessing of prosperity and life and just progression to that eternal existence where everything is beautiful.
I just want to tell, I don't know if everybody knows already, but every night there's been like 2 crates of veggies and fruit dug out of Thrifty's compost bins and brought here, and I guess the dumpster divers might be leaving on Tuesday, and if anybody wants to adopt a nice nightly mission of jumping a wooden gate and dumpster diving a bunch of food from a big garbage can of salad. Yeah, it'd be great.
It's amazing, yeah.
Nick.
I was to the Jasper Free Camp that was many years ago, and it's kind of neat to see something like this happening here. And gardens, I think we're going to change the world if you can have gardens and grow some food in a garden. Because I know everybody likes flowers, and they really do take over, but I think like even vegetables are beautiful and they have flowers. And I think there's a happy balance, but the good water is very important, but people waste water, and it's good for me to try to be in a place now where I live that I have to conserve water and use it very rationally, and I have to carry it and haul it, and so water to me has become more important than ever. I was searching for good water, and I have good water, but then you haul it. And I think irrigation, different ways, and that collecting rainwater is good. And I think something should be looked at. Old creek beds drying up because somebody has diverted them someplace else. That still seems to be happening here. And I think we all need companionship, and we really need to get back to having husband and wife teams and children and families. Maybe old-fashioned style I like. I'm not a yuppie, and even if I was rich, I know what that's like, and it doesn't matter whether rich or poor, you want love.
Yeah. Just I have a question about is it appropriate time to discuss the action tomorrow, or is this?
No, please give it a bit more
I'm just wondering
time.
how things work in the camp, because is that action going to be done on behalf of the camp?
No, I'm doing that on my own.
That's your own.
Like for me, the message. This is the time we have to really get a message out. Like it's election time, and we got to do as much as we can, as gently as we can. And it's my idea of what I can do myself. I'm not asking anybody to participate with me. I'm doing it on my own, and I'll stand on my own to do it. But if anybody wants to join me, they're totally welcome and appreciated.
Okay. Yeah, great.
What church are you going to? The United?
No, this one right over here.
Catholic Church.
Oh!
Is Nico still here?
No.
Stinks has the feather in his hand.
Yes.
Church. It does have a presence, it definitely does. But you're so peaceful. Sometimes, I don't know, peaceful's good if you all have all
Would
the
you like the feather
connection.
once again?
No.
Someone else has to speak now.
And I'll be quiet. It's more fun here.
Okay, so I just think that everything that you guys have said is important. And I think that you have something very special to offer yourself. And if you can hear and you can appreciate what is given, because it is a war, and we're caught in it right now, and we're denying it.
It isn't a war. I don't
We
think
respect,
it's a war.
we respect the feather.
Yes, we know it.
Actually, somebody else has the feather than who was talking.
That's right.
I want to hear the person who has the feather.
Who has the feather?
You're getting a lot of publicity and support. Making a big statement.
Who came here and started what we are doing now? Because we don't see that anymore. And this is us studying what happened a long time ago with mothers and their daughters and their sons They made tea. They ate well. And they saw rainbows, and they lived on the land through rain and shine and snow. And they never had to hide, and they never had to run. And when they walked in the park, they didn't have to worry about whether somebody was going to come and tell them that they weren't allowed to sleep there with their families. And when are we going to see the boats pull in with the violins and the guitars and the drums? When are we going to dance on them? And when are we going to go running through the trees with our children and climbing them so we can see all the birds and all the creatures? Like, who are we? And what are we meant to do here? We shouldn't have to ask anybody but ourselves. We should be able to walk on our land knowing that this is where we're meant to be and this is what we're meant to be doing. And why don't people have time for prayer and picking flowers and holding hands and dancing and singing and staring into their sisters' and brothers' eyes? And why are we so scared of what people think of us? Or why are we not scared anymore? Because this is our refuge. Salt Spring Island is like one big ship. And what we're doing here could go many, many places. And we have one child here. And we have one baby here. And we need more. We want to call the mothers. We don't need phones. We need to walk.